Here I am, rock you like a hurricane. All right, so it's a few hours after my eye surgery. I had cataract surgery on my left eye today, so I figured I might as well do a podcast about it, which will be an interesting podcast actually, because we can go into the politics of the world as well today. It'll be an interesting story that I'd like to share. So here we go. This is my second cataract surgery. I had my first one done, about a year and a half ago on my right eye. And it was actually a pretty insane surgery last time because I was actually driving out, I think it was September, October of 2020. I went to Vegas to shoot Evelyn Inc. and my eye was like burning. Like anytime the sun hit my eye while I was driving, it was, the pain was so brutal. Like I would get migraines. So when I got to Vegas, Evelyn was like, "Hey, let me look at your eye." So she looks at my eye. She goes, "You have cataracts in your eye." I'm like, "How do you know?" She goes, "I can tell." And she literally made me close my left eye and put fingers up, and it was hard for me to tell how many fingers were there. So she's like, "You need to go back to LA and go take care of this as soon as possible." So we shot that night, and I headed back to LA, found an eye doctor, and they checked me out, and they were like, "Well, we should probably do this cataract surgery on you as soon as possible." Now, here's the thing with cataracts, for people that never had it, it's kind of scary because if you don't take care of it, you'll go blind because it's this film that grows over your eyeball, and eventually, first you start, it gets a little blurry, but then you get this milky feel, and the color change. So it's like kind of the yellowish tint. So like, let's say you close your other eye, that's your normal eye, and you start seeing stuff that's different colors almost. It's like you get this yellow tint to it. The way I would always, when I would close my eyes to see the difference, my bathroom in my condo downstairs is lit with black light, and it's a motion sensor. So anytime anybody would walk by or the light would turn on, you would see this purple tint coming out of there. Except when I had cataracts on my right eye, it would be blue. The color would change. Then I'll look with my left eye, and it would be back to being purple. So when they set up this surgery for me, I had to pay out of pocket. And the doctor was an amazing doctor. I'm not going to drop names because I don't want them, people knowing where I'm going, and I don't want to put doctors on the spot. But maybe one day I'll give them a little shout out, and maybe if you're in LA and need cataract surgery, you could just go to these doctors. Well, anyways, since I didn't have time to go through my insurance to find the right doctor, I had to spend $10,000 out of pocket for the cataract surgery because it was last minute. And this is what happens when you wait too long. Your health issues will cost you way more than you taking care of yourself. It kind of goes down to like eating healthy. People are always like, "Oh, it's more expensive to eat healthy." But you know what's more expensive? When your health goes down the shitter, and then you got to pay later in life when you might have less money, less resources, you're older, you're more damaged to get that fixed. So do it the right way the first time, and you'll not have to deal with it later in life, or deal on the smaller scale later in life. And that I've learned that through being in the adult industry. Most everyone I worked for have done it the wrong way, resulting in them throwing money at it at the last minute to try to fix the problem. And then what happens? It costs you that much more instead of doing it properly the first time. Same thing goes for health and relationships and things like that. So the way the doctor explained to me, if he did the cataract surgery, so basically he has to cut out the lens out of your eyeball and, and put a new one in. So he was showing me examples of doing it with a laser or doing it by hand. So if you're doing it by hand, it's called, you could possibly get this situation where it's called the Argentinian flag. So if you go and Google Argentinian flag for your eyeball surgery, what happens is if the doctor slips up with a knife, it can pop the lens in your eye, and it creates these two blue stripes and a white stripe, what looks like an Argentinian flag. And then they have to like fish out all the little pieces out of your eyeball, which is, I imagine, very painful and very dangerous. So if you do it with a laser, it's fairly simple. Your eyeball's open. They put they put the speculum in your eye, or whatever it's called, the one that you know, if you saw Clockwork Orange, that, you know, that piece to put in your eye to keep your eyeball open, and the laser just cuts it out, boop boop, puts a new one in, and you're good to go. So obviously, you know, that's an upsell, and it's also safer. So I paid for the more expensive one and had that done that way. And everything was great. And then about, I don't know, 6 months ago to maybe 8, 9 months ago, I'm not sure exactly, my left eye started going. Now, doctors are wondering, like, you're only 52. Why are you having cataracts? So much cataracts going on. Well, from what I was told, when I was in the hospital for 2 months dealing with my leg, and then the new infection that they found that caused me to be on steroids. They were pumping steroids into me and antibiotics to get this infection out of me. That medication that saved my leg caused my hair loss, which was already going anyways, but sped up my hair loss and my cataracts. Both my parents have had cataracts, so especially my dad. So it's hereditary, but also with on this medication, it just sped up the process. It's kind of like people don't understand. Like if you take HGH, from what I was been told, HGH also, if you have proficiency to have cancer possibly, because it's in like in your family blood or whatever, if you take HGH, that speeds up the process of getting cancer. So you take the good with the bad, right? You take, you know, it is what it is. So I saved my leg with these steroids, but then it created hair loss and damage to my eyeballs. Besides, you know, being diabetic doesn't help either. So, where was I going with this? So that's why I have cataracts so early on in my life compared to like people that are in like 70s or 80s or, you know, maybe even in 60s. So I've been going through this process for a while. I've been posting videos and pictures of these sticks in my eyes. And people freak out about it. That's from diabetic retinopathy. I've been going through that for about a year now. I did, I think, 7 treatments. So basically what they do is they numb your eyeballs. First, they do this pressure check on your eye. So they have this machine that pushes into your eyeball, and you feel the pressure, but they numb your eye. So you feel the pressure, you just don't feel any pain till later. When your pain medication wears off, then you feel it like somebody punched you in the face. And then they stick needles in your eyeballs. That's why those sticks that, if you've looked at my social media and you've seen me post pictures or videos of the sticks in my eyeballs, it's from medication. So from numbing my eyeballs. So basically they pull my eye open with those speculum things, and they stick those sticks in there, and boop, and just leave them in there to numb the eyeballs so they could stick needles in my eyes. That's pretty brutal after the fact. During it, it's not so much. It just looks really, really gross. But that's not part of the cataracts. That's something else. That's from being a fat bastard with diabetes and not taking care of yourself. So now this second cataract situation came up, and I was going to one doctor, and everything was fine. I actually, this is July 6th. My original cataract surgery was set up for March 3rd. Was that March to April, April to May, May to June, 4 months ago. And literally a week before my original cataract surgery appointment, after going and dealing with this doctor for months and testing and everything, and measuring my eyeball and figuring out lenses and everything else, my insurance, who's approved my doctor, both doctors that were helping me, would not approve the facility that the doctor gets the procedures done at, which makes no sense whatsoever. If you approve the doctor, how can you not approve the facility they do it at? So they suggested another facility. The problem with the other facility? Take a wild guess. Oh, they don't do cataract surgeries because of COVID. Yes, this wonderful COVID always comes up, right? So, and then they also said it's a voluntary procedure. How can that be a voluntary procedure when you're going blind? But again, it's insurance, right? Welcome to United States of America and their wonderful insurance system. So I couldn't deal with that doctor anymore. They had to find me another doctor. Luckily, they found me this other doctor who's fantastic and with a beautiful facility, very accommodating. I mean, they text you information and email you. It's really high-end place. So I went there. Luckily, all the paperwork transferred over. So we set up this appointment, and and they were trying to upsell me as well. Well, your insurance doesn't cover the laser. Your insurance doesn't cover the lens that will make your eye, have a 20/20 vision. All that extras would be like $8,000-$9,000. I don't have $8,000-$9,000. For everybody who thinks that we're rich because we drive a car and have sneakers and whatever else. No, we're broke as the next door neighbor. So there's no way I'm spending $8,000-$9,000 to get my eyeball fixed when my insurance could cover it. But now my insurance is covering the eyeball being cut open by hand. Revert back to the original doctor with the original eye surgery who said, oh, there's potential of this Argentinian flag happening to your eyeball. Of course, like now I'm like, oh my goodness. But I'm going, this guy's a professional, right? He's a professional. He knows what he's doing. And if he messes up, then he's going to have to fix it. It is what it is. I've had plenty of issues being cut open and stabbed by knives, stabbed by needles. I'm good. I'm fine. So we set this appointment up, and it was quickly coming up. I went to my primary care physician. This is the best part. So my primary care physician is Russian. He's a wonderful doctor. His workers, if you actually go to Google, the review is patient reviews was I think a little under 3 stars out of 5, because the workers there are atrocious. Not the nurses, but the customer service people. I've been there before, sitting for hours waiting for help, and I've seen them yell at customers because at patients because they're all Russian, and this is how Russians talk to each other. Shut up, заткнись, не слушай меня, я тебе скажу, когда надо зайти туда. Like insane. And I'm sitting there going, wow, this would never fly at like a regular American doctor's office. Here, Russians, all Russians, yelling at each other, blah, 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 through the glass. Insanity. So I went in, the nurses though, and the doctor, fantastic. So I went about a week and a half ago, a little over a week and a half ago, and went through my pre-op. My blood pressure is through the roof, and she's like, what's going on with you? Because before your blood pressure was great. And I'm like, well, I've been dealing with a lot. There's been a lot of insane stress, from work to personal to finances to everything else to health. She's like, well, you need to take care of that because you can have a heart attack. You can have a stroke. You can have a lot of things happen to you. You're older, and your blood pressure's through the roof. So I'm like, I get it. So, they told me I need to get a chest x-ray. So the next day I went and got chest x-ray, which was Friday, not the previous Friday before that. So about 10 days ago. And everything was supposed to be sent to my doctor. Well, July 6th is today. July 4th is obviously everything's closed. July 5th, I'm getting a call from my eye doctor saying the paperwork was never sent to them. And they need the paperwork before they could let me go to get the surgery done. So I'm on the phone with my primary care physician. No one's picking up. In fact, the phone is like, wah, wah, like it's off the hook. And my eye doctor lady's calling me going, I can't get through to them. I'm leaving the messages or the phone won't even ring through. So dealt with that throughout the day yesterday. Luckily, everything was taken care of and the paperwork was sent. So I had to be at the surgical procedure place at 5 a.m. this morning. So I didn't fall asleep till like 1:30. I was nervous. I got so much going on, just anxiety and stress and God knows what else is on my mind. And didn't go to sleep till 1:30. Was up at 4:30 in the morning, on the road by 4:40, and got there at 5 in the morning. Went through the whole procedure, signing in, things like that. And then I went to pre-op. And this is where the interesting part of the story happens. So by my name, Vyacheslav, anybody who's Russian or from that region right away would know that I'm Russian. So the nurse, who's got an accent, goes to me, Vyacheslav, where are you from? I'm Russian. Okay. I'm wearing my Two Russians, One America hat. And again, this is where my concern has been since this war, whatever you want to call it, is that being Russian, or the word Russian, all of a sudden is this bad thing to be, like I call it the new hard R or another hard R. It's stupid. It's so stupid that people look down at Russians for what Putin's doing. And people are uplifting Ukrainians because of what's happening, not completely forgetting how the rest of the world is fighting, forgetting how in China, the human rights issues that are going on there, Middle East, Africa, the horrendous things that are happening there. But we're all sending how many billions, $50 billion to Ukraine. Why Ukraine? Not these other countries. And why is Ukraine and Ukrainian people so uplifted, but these other people are just like, nah. Do we forget about Syrian refugees all of a sudden? Do we forget about all these poor people from South America trying to come over? Oh, wait, that's yesterday's news. That's not cool on social media anymore. Ukrainians and the evil Russians, all Russians are always evil, forgetting what we did in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Iran, just go down the list, right? So, but Russians are the evil ones because Putin's doing some shit to Ukraine after his and Zelensky's talks fell through, that nobody wants to talk about what goes on in Ukraine, right? Except for what Russians are doing to Ukraine. So I knew there was going to be an issue at some point, and I don't care because I'm a proud Russian. Misha's a proud Russian. And we're going with Two Russians, One America, Two Russians, One podcast. She talked me into keeping it that way because she's like, F that. This is what we do. This is who we are. Everyone we talk to said the exact same thing. Be proud of who you are. And I've always been proud of who I am. When I was in film school, my filmmaking partner was black, Kareem. We were Black Russian Films. That was back in 93. So it's always been like, I'm proud Russian. This is what we do. And this is how it is. You don't like it? Go fuck yourself. Because your country has a worse fucking history than my country. So fuck off. And so the reason I'm so irritated is because of what happened today. So the doctor comes in and he's looking at my hat and he goes, I'm trying to figure out what your hat is. And I go, well, it's Two Russians, One America. My fiance and I have this YouTube channel called TwoRussiansOneAmerica.com. We're two Russians in America and we're doing like fun adventures. We're just showing our life. He's like, oh, that's really cool. And he walks away and the nurse goes to me, where are you from? I go, from a small town, a small city next to Kiev called Zhytomyr. And she looks at me, she goes, and you call yourself Russian? And she goes, and you consider yourself Russian? And I look at her and go, yes, I consider myself Russian, and I'm a Russian Jew. And it was left at that, right? So she was the one that was actually putting my IV in. And so I asked her, I go, where are you from?